You are listening to FedBiz 5. I'm your host, Miles Minich.
My name is Anthony DeTore.
And today's discussion is what is federal contracting and acquisition? Hello, and welcome to FedBiz 5, where you get informed, get connected, and get results. So today's episode is simply, what is government contracting or federal contracting and acquisition? We have to understand the fundamentals before we actually dive into any other subject. So I want to give it over to Anthony. What the heck is federal contracting?
If you think of the federal government as a business, they are the largest purveyor of goods and services, arguably, in the world. So everything that they use, everything that they need, office supply, everything has to come from somewhere. And that place is typically the private sector. So if you have a product or a service that is valuable in the commercial world, in all likelihood, there's a place for you in the federal market.
Okay, so my question would be for the small business owner, what are some requirements that they need to have as a business?
Well, before you can get to that point, there's a lot of preliminary work that has to happen. For instance, is your company a good fit for federal work? Well, there's probably a market for you, and that can be looked into. That can be pretty easily investigated. But you need to know. And then you have to think about, are you prepared to be able to tackle the federal market? Part of that is, do you have the finances in place to be able to sustain a contract if you were to get one? Very often, the biggest problem a company has just starting out is they will go after a contract or they'll go after a project and not have the financial wherewithal to be able to sustain the pay cycle on that. Yeah. And that's, it could turn out to be their, the best thing and the worst thing that ever happened to them.
So, okay, say they do have these preliminary requirements. Okay, say they have the finances. The question would be now, where are they? What's the best way to find opportunities?
Well, the popular thinking or the accepted thinking is that one should first get your registrations, your system for award management registration. Make sure if you're a small business, your dynamic small business search is in place. And we'll go a little deeper into that next time maybe. But and then of course, once you have those registrations, they say, well, first you have to, what I mean is popular thinking. When that happens, the next thing you're told is, okay, now are you eligible for any kind of set-asides, which would be minority-owned, woman-owned business, veteran-owned, service-disabled veteran-owned, that sort of thing. And if you are, then you should get those registrations. Then they tell you, okay, now go to where it currently is, and I think it's soon to change. It might even be this month or next, where it's beta.sam.gov, where you're told that they post everything. But the fact of the matter is, it's not a huge percentage of the work that actually gets ever sees the light of day in the form of a solicitation. So that could be anywhere from, depending upon what you're looking at, it could be anywhere from 35% to 10% of the actual market gets posted in the form of solicitation. So we tend to go with some of the things that the Small Business Administration points out about identifying your market, which is really after you've determined whether you are a good fit or not, whether there's a market for you and you can sustain it. That's really what I would think of as after your registrations. That would be your next step, is to determine who your buyers are. Just like anything else, just like any other business, you need to know who your buyers are and what your market is.
Yeah. Well, that's today's FedBiz 5. Tune in to our next podcast covering SAM registration. You don't want to miss it. This podcast is sponsored by FedBiz Access, government contracting made simple. For more information, visit fedbizaccess.com. That's FEDBIZ access.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.